Shouldn't have to say it. Everyone should know it. But when it comes to a hazmat response, speed and accuracy are everything.
Speed and power, baby. Let's go.
Speed and power. Clarkson Farm thing. Absolutely. Speed and accuracy. Now that's a 908 thing.
That's the little black box. And now, if you will, the little red box as well.
Yes, it's why hazmat teams all around the world are trusting 908 devices. Their handhelds like the MX908 and the Explorer IR are absolutely changing the game.
Right. The 90X is one of those few devices out there that can identify Novichokes.
Yep, absolutely. It can identify Novichokes. It can do all sorts of chemical warfare agents, pharmaceutical-based agents, drugs, and explosives. And here's the key. It does them all at trace levels, which is beyond mind-blowing.
That is awesome. And I also know that the Explorer can identify and quantify over 5,000 gases of vapors in seconds. That's going to change the game.
Yeah, it's why 908 Devices is being trusted by more and more hazmat teams around the world. You guys can check them out at 908devices.com and upgrade your metering toolbox today.
All right, we're back with episode 477, episode 2 of
hydrogen sulfide.
I almost said hydrogen peroxide.
You know what? I almost always say hydrogen cyanide when I mean hydrogen sulfide. It's very irritating to be up in front of the classroom and be like, hydrogen cyanide. And they're like, what is hydrogen? I'm like, no, the one with the S.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't heard, the Nerd book is out. So get your Nerd book 2. It has 50 plus new fresh drills for your love. We do have a new HMAF class for radioactive drone response, risk-based. Radioactive.
Always risk-based.
Drone. Everything's risk-based nowadays. But you should get in there We should
start a whole alien series. Like,
alien hazmat.
Yeah, like they're here. Like, how do we now respond to transportation incidences involving extraterrestrials? Of course, risk-based.
Risk-based alien response.
Right. All hazard, risk-based. Yeah.
Listen, if you have a training class that doesn't have risk-based in front of it, you are a chump. That's what I'm going to say.
You are not basing everything you do on risk if the class does not say risk-based.
You go. So, part 2.
Yes.
And then I think we're going to have enough time for it. A question that was thrown to me last night that I've only heard twice in my career. And I will tell you what I've heard. And then I'll tell you what my research just found. And we can find out from there.
Okay. And I'm going to concentrate very hard on staying still.
Oh.
An equal distance from the microphone.
I like it.
All right.
Okay, so we were finishing up with there was changes in the oil and gas industry, and that was particularly in the transportation of resources through pipelines, right? Because we were saying that that's a natural byproduct of not only fracking and production of hydrocarbons in use globally, but it's one of the big deals. So let's go over the key issues that are a big deal from this.
Yeah, well, so the oil and natural gas world, in the deposits within the United States, about 25 to 15% of the natural gas deposits that we're drilling for in the U.S. contain high amounts of hydrogen sulfide, right? So in total, the worldwide percentage being about 30%. So think about that. Like that means that you have this huge reservoir of natural gas, and almost a third of it could be this nasty toxic gas, hydrogen sulfide.
Right. And the presence of the hydrogen sulfide in unscented natural gas pipelines creates even more of a hazard for first responders, primarily because it's high toxic, and it's lacking that warning odor that we all know so much. So let's talk about a couple more of those key dangers from that.
Yeah, so obviously your lacking odor is pretty impactful, at least in the natural gas side, right? We are used to, as first responders, coming into natural gas and smelling the sulfur-based chemical that's been added to it. But when you have large amounts of natural gas flowing, or even coming from an LNG, there isn't a lot of scent associated with that. And sometimes the hydrogen sulfide that is mixed in with these natural gas, that gives us a false sense of security that we're dealing with natural gas, when in fact we're dealing with hydrogen sulfide. So if it's important to know, if you're responding to a pipeline, is this a scented pipeline or is this an unscented pipeline? Because the smell that you may be smelling may not be the natural gas, and it might be H2S.
I like that. And actually, if you remember back, we did an episode, actually a couple, on look on up for thiols.
Yes,
we did stinky fruit
series.
and the thiols, because there's a fruit. Oh man, what the hell is it called? It was a stinky fruit. It's very spiny and very prickly, and if you open it up, it stinks of thiols, and it's a stinky fruit. But they say it's delicious, and I will not try it. So
that's not the one in the jar that Gwen sent us, was it?
Oh God, no,
that was something else.
Fermenting fish or something like that from Sweden. I'll get you, Gwen. You'll rue the day. Anyway, so H2S has some characteristics like rapid toxicity. It's extremely toxic, and that's one of the reasons why we have it on a single gas meter. In addition to, because it's such a toxic thing that we want it as like a standalone thing, right? So at 100 parts per million, it can cause people headaches, dizziness, coughing, vomiting. 500 to 700, that's not a crazy number, can lead to loss of consciousness or possible death in 30 to 60 minutes. And if you're over 1,000 parts per million, you're talking about unconsciousness in seconds and death in minutes.
And which is the goal of many of the I'm going to say shampoo suicides. It's not shampoo, chemical suicides, using the hydrogen side, right? They want, and we've seen over and over again, we respond to these chemical. It's a very effective way to off yourself because they're almost always dead. So getting back to that olfactory fatigue, high concentrations can cause the olfactory fatigue. And this is dangerous for us because we could be in an area that we're like, oh, it was just here and now it's not here. I guess the situation has made itself better, when in fact it hasn't. You've just gotten used to it.
Right. And then you can have, as toxic as it is, it's also flammable. Nice.
Yeah, like with a relatively low flammability, right? I mean,
yeah, the flammability range is 4 to 44%. And just remember that as hazmat techs, I like things that are narrow and that are very high.
Yes,
right? I like to have to be right up to the source, and it'd be very narrow because it's very easy to get past that thing. This is relatively wide, right? And it's kind of low as well. You don't need much of it to get going.
No, you certainly don't. And if you think of what regular gas is, right? Regular gas is 5 to 15. So
natural.
This is where you combine that with the olfactory smell, where you lose that sense of smell. You don't even realize that you're in an environment, and you have the flammability from the natural gas. And then you have an even larger flammability hazard from the H2S, which we know is in the natural gas that's being transported.
Right.
So we can have some respiratory issues with this too, right? You got your lung irritation, your pulmonary edema, and in high concentrations, it can absolutely lead to a very quick and not coming back respiratory arrest.
Did you know that in 2022 there was 748 preventable hazmat incidents? United States.
As a responder, your top priority is safety and efficiency, but without proper training, your team's competency could be at risk.
At the HazMat Guys, we bring you tens of thousands of hours of hands-on experience to elevate your team's skills. Our trainings are customized just for you using the best equipment and techniques out there.
3 simple steps. You could be transforming your team today. Call for a schedule a call, customize your training plan, and then begin the best in-class training available.
Right. Don't risk settling for instructors that only have theoretical risk-based knowledge. Secure your spots now. Our training slots for the upcoming quarter are seriously filling up. They're almost booked. As a bonus incentive, if you call us before the end of the year, you are going to get a free complimentary premium subscription for everybody that shows up to the class.
And we just launched volume 2 of the Nerds Hazmat Drill book, so check it out for 50 new training drills and keep your team up to shape.
And mark your calendars for February 3rd through the 5th, 2026, not 2025. Join us for the Southernmost HazMat Conference in beautiful Key West, Florida. Connect with industry experts, learn from the best in the field, and enhance your hazardous materials mojo.
So train differently. Speak differently. Train differently. Visit the HazmatGuys.com/hire us to book your customized training experience. While you're there, join our mailing list and stay up to date with the Southernmost Conference and all things that are HazMat Guys.
And one of the places that you're going to find this, I'm not going to say consistently, but more statistically more relevant, is confined spaces. Right? In confined spaces, which like pipeline emergencies, it accumulates in those confined spaces. Low-lying areas like trenches, enclosed spaces, and particularly is dangerous. And H2S is heavier than air and it'll collect in these areas. So if you're monitoring for them, you don't want to be monitoring up by your neck, even though that's where you're kind of drafting the air from. I kind of want to get a little bit lower and get a head start on it, maybe around my hip or my knee or my pocket, and get, hey, it's beeping, which means it's coming up here.
Right. And if it's flammable, you want to make sure that you're not standing in that flammable range. Like, we both have experience where we haven't put the meter in the right spot, and therefore we didn't pick up the flammable environment that we were standing in. So where that meter going is extremely important. But we definitely want to have the meter, right? We definitely want to have our 4-gas. If you're a first responder, that includes that H2S sensor. Because without the proper equipment, you can absolutely just walk into one of these hazardous areas, whether that's somebody's building, right, because the sewer is backed up or they have dry pipe, or you're responding to some kind of a transportation incident.
Now, if we're going in to actually mitigate things, we're going in to do a recon, decon, whatever it is, knowing what you know now, assume that there's H2S in the area and it could be unscented. Right, so don't take the old schnoz's word for it. Assume it's unscented. So have your meter on you, use your PPE, and use your SCBA. Some of these levels, it doesn't take much to put you on your ass.
Yeah, and since you have your SCB on, you're going to have your meter out. Make sure that you're calibrated, right, to where everything's got to be. I know for the most part, a lot of places do, but a lot of operation, a lot of hazmat teams calibrate their stuff on a regular basis. A lot of operations guys, they just have that meter on the rig and they turn it on and it beeps, and that's all that they know. So make sure you're properly calibrated. Establish and maintain a perimeter around that incident site, right? We have seen, you can take a look at case histories where people have gotten breaths and whiffs of this stuff and have had serious repercussions. We want to make sure everybody is far enough away that if the wind comes along and shifts, you're not going to suddenly, get a whole bunch of people sick. And you want to make sure that you have the proper training for H2S hazards if you have them within your response area.
Now, if you get this, then you're going to be okay on doing this stuff. You're going to be much better prepared.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're looking at your safety hazards, right, we already understand the concentrations that go through it. We understand that it's flammable, but it's also highly corrosive.
Yeah. So very corrosive stuff. It can corrode rail cars, trucks, transport vessels. It can corrode leaks and make leaks. It can corrode your meter. It can corrode you.
It can corrode you. Yes, it can corrode a lot of things. And that leads to some issues on the transportation realm for us, right? Like if you have H2S in pipelines, those pipelines can be damaged by hydrogen-assisted fatigue cracking, meaning that that pipe that was supposedly a high-yield strength steel, it slowly starts to break down over time, and that can lead to a burst or a rupture or something happening that you totally weren't expecting, all because this material has been eating away at the pipeline while it's been sitting there.
Right. You got to think about it. Like natural gas pipelines are buried, right? Which means you just can't go down and just look at them. Inspections are going to be almost impossible to do. So you have to rely on internal inspections, which, they're sending like the robot down the pipeline, which how often does that happen? Like, seriously.
And we're not there for it.
We're not there. So, I mean, really what they're doing is they're I don't want to say the wrong thing, but a lot of times they're just like, depending on the public, go, man, I smell some gas out here. And they're like, oh, that's the area. Go check it out. I don't know.
Yeah. And we absolutely, if you're working near a pipeline, we want to make sure that the pipeline owner is fully aware that there's an issue, because there are things that can be done on their end to help mitigate a possible H2S leak within their piping system. And we don't have to get into it, but just keep them in the loop as well.
Yeah. So one thing that we will mention here is that there's something that they call blending. And it's the blending of H2S with natural gas below a certain threshold to reduce the HAFC risk, that high, what the hell would you call it?
That's high pressure. The ability for hydrogen to go and frack.
Hydrogen-assisted
destroy the metal. Yeah. We see this with... if they mix them, it helps reduce the amount of free hydrogen.
That's interesting.
And it's the same thing like a hydrogen cylinder, right? We know hydrogen cylinders have the potential to crack and fatigue earlier. There's not much difference.
Good stuff. All right. Well.
All right. Your question. You had a.
Right. A guy says to me, we were doing operations level stuff, and I was going through the nuances of the definitions of the ERG. And I'm saying, okay, what's a small leak versus a large leak? And it's 55 gallons, right? If it fits in a drum, it's 55 gallons. It's a small leak. And if it's more than that, okay, great. So I always say as a cheeky little thing, well, what's the difference between day and night? And people are like thinking about it like, I'm like, it's light and dark. And they're like, ha, 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 ha.
The big yellow thing?
So a guy comes to me afterwards and he says, is that really the definition, light and dark? He's like, is it sunset? I go, okay. This is what I heard, but don't hold me to this. And I looked this up before we started the show to make sure I'm right. And I found both I'm right and I'm wrong in 3 different places.
Okay.
The answer I heard was civil twilight, which is typically 15 minutes before sunset or sunrise.
That's when we consider night and day. But if it's 15 minutes before and after.
Right. So that's what true night and day is. But on other ones, I found it's straight up sunset and sunrise.
All right. So I would have to say then So for our purposes, we delineate. No. We delineate night and day. No, we delineate night and day because of the temperature and the potential atmospheric conversion, right?
Right. Diurnal mixing, they call it.
Yeah. If you're really going to be like a hard ass about the whole night and day thing, I would say 15 minutes past sunrise, you would want to still consider night because that temperature inversion hasn't yet occurred. Right. And on the opposite side, I kind of might want to keep daytime operations a little bit past the twilight because that inversion is still in the process. Like the temperatures have to drop, all that stuff has to happen. So, what is the difference between night and day?
Yeah, I've never heard that. I was like, you know what? I heard it was, and again, maybe it was somebody just trying to be fancy, and they were like, no, it's civil. Just said it, civilian twilight. Yeah, which is an actual nautical term, and I'm like, oh, that's fancy. That's got to be right because it sounds very, very like hipsterish. It's like, ooh, that's saucy, right? But now that I go look at it, I've seen 2 references that said it was just straight up sunrise and sunset, and one did say civil twilight.
Interesting.
So if you find it on the social media webs and stuff like that, send me an email. Prove me either way. I would love to know that answer because I think that would be very helpful, and we'll throw it in the next show because a lot of guys that listen to the show teach HazMat Ops, and I guarantee they're getting this question. So
yeah,
maybe we'll crowdsource this.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like it.